Hello and welcome to the Paper Computer Games podcast. I'm your host, Sinister Productions, but you can refer to me as Seth. So, today I don't have Salman with me, so I'm just gonna be doing my own podcast, just a short one. So today I'm gonna be talking you guys through the process of making the longest game I've ever made. So this game is known as Pergatory. If you haven't seen it, go check out the video. It's on my channel. Hopefully it'll be linked in the description. I don't know though. But anyway. So, first things first. The inspiration for Pergatory is going to sound quite strange. So, it was essentially, I was watching one of Zach's videos. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember. I'll remember it probably like halfway through the video. But in the background of his video, he had Genesis, which is a game that one of his friends made. Insane art. Go check it out. But, yeah, so in Genesis, there are some like statues of like gods. And I ended up seeing that video, seeing those statues in the background, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then that's how I started with Pergatory. I thought, that's a good idea, having statues of like gods. So, what did I do? I made statues the main focus of Pergatory. So, essentially, Pergatory is a game where you wake up on this like series of floating platforms, slightly like Mikado, and you basically have to travel through this realm almost, fighting these like horrible like monsters who are guarding essentially these like statues of ancient gods. And then after defeating these monsters, the gods will grant you different like gifts or powers, which you can then use later on. So Pergatory is around 40 pages long. Yes, it's a very long game, but it's also a very fun game. I think it takes like a relative play time of around 2.5 hours. So it's quite long. But I think it's, for its size, that's a pretty good amount of time. So, with Pergatory, I started with the cover, which I don't usually do. Usually I make the whole game, then I'll make the cover based off that. But no, I made the cover. So, I was watching one of Zach's videos, sketching out some statues, and I mean, they ended up looking okay. I mean, I probably could have done better, but I was just sketching them out. And then I came up with a name. Because I have ideas for Pergatory 2, Pergatory 3, and Pergatory 4. Okay, yeah, it's going to be like a quadrilogy. So, and then I decided, because I had the ideas for Pergatory 2 and 3, and I was like, ooh, I know what Pergatory 1's going to be. So, I started. I'm not going to reveal anything, because it'll kind of give you it'll kind of spoil the rest of the games. So I'm not going to spoil anything, because I want those to be kind of special. Okay, so I was sketching them out, and I was like, oh yeah, it's pretty cool. So I came up with the name Pergatory, and then I drew these 3 statues, and I drew these like chains connecting them all. And then in the background, I drew some of like the monsters I wanted to see in the game. So I drew like the trees with the faces. I drew the bats. I drew all that kind of stuff. And then, I believe I was watching Zach's Mikado video. I think anyway, so Mikado. And then I kind of started getting inspiration from that. So I was like, ooh, I quite like that idea of like platforms with like white abyss surrounding them. So I started doing that. And then I sketched up this one big platform. And then I put this like one statue in the middle. And then I was going through and then I started drawing some different paths so you can go down, then different enemies and obstacles at those paths. And then you just kept working your way through this like series of platforms. Then I ended up watching, I think it was Epic World's Mikado expansion video, where he had this like school, and I thought the idea for that school was really good by having a set of spells and like rolling a dice. So I put that in the game, and then I ended up putting shops in and things. I can't remember if I got inspiration for the armory and stuff, but I don't really know. Then I was watching this thing. I was watching a video about tutorial bot, and I was like, "That's a cool idea." So I made a shop where you can buy robot companions inspired by tutorial bot. So I mean, it's just perfect. Or actually, I might have also gotten that idea from Epic, because I believe he had this thing. I can't remember what it was. It might have been in the Mikado expansion where you could like buy robots. It was like tutorial bot and Spodorial bot. I don't know though. Don't quote me on that. So I was like, that's a cool idea. I'll put that in. So, and then obviously I started working on the story. And it was when I got to the story that I kind of took less and less inspiration from other games. Obviously, I still kept the theme of the white kind of the white platforms with the white void around it. But I mean, apart from that, I started taking less and less inspiration. Apart from a few of the puzzles I took inspiration from other games, and that's why I think that Pergatory is my favourite game. I think because it was the first game I ever started. It wasn't the first game I finished, but it's the first game I started. And I pretty much love that game. And I think the reason is because it's an amalgamation of other PCG creators' games. And I know that sounds quite strange, but I do like. I think that's why it's kind of stuck in my heart a bit more, because it's kind of like, I haven't explained this before, but it's kind of like lots of games combined together. It's like Genesis, it's Mercado, it's Epic's Mercado, it's all that kind of stuff, and then puzzles I got from other people's games. Like, I think that's one of the reasons why I enjoy it, and I think it's kind of just like, it's special, you know, because it's kind of like, it's pretty much like everyone in the PCG community's made it, because I took inspiration from all of them. And I've just filmed a podcast with Salman talking about how to grow your channel and advice for new people in the PCG community, kind of. And we were talking about that, like getting inspired by other people's games. And I think that's one of the reasons. And I think Pergatory is the game that got me into the PCG community. I mean, because I took inspiration. That's one of the things we were talking about, inspiration from other people's games. I mean, you know, I think that is like one of the best ways to grow your channel and become more involved in the community. So, yeah, I mean, going back to it, there's almost like a lesson to this. Get inspiration from things you see on YouTube and things you see in the PCG community, things you see around you. Honestly, like I could spin around right now in my room and probably come up with a PCG about this pen. I know you can't see that I'm holding the pen, but I'm holding the pen. Okay, I could probably end up making a PCG about this pen. That's how much inspiration helps with the PCG. And I mean, yeah. So that's kind of my story about inspiration and about the process of creating Pergatory. So, like I said, hopefully the video will be in the description. Mine and Zach's, the beginning of mine and Zach's playthrough of Pergatory is on Zach's channel. And I mean, yeah, I think that, hang on one thing. So that, I think that Pergatory is a very good example of inspiration, getting help from the actual PCG community. And yeah, that's why I kind of wanted to share this story with you, because I think the new people in the community, that is one of the best ways to create a PCG. Whether it's your first PCG, whether you've made a few and you are struggling for ideas, or whether you've just got like either like creative block, PCG block. You know, I mean, it's pretty much, I don't know. I'm kind of just going off on a tangent now. I'm just like repeating myself. I feel like, yeah, take inspiration from games. Without further ado, I think I'm probably gonna end this podcast here. Hopefully, the next one I'll be on it with Solomon. Just time zones mess things up a bit, so you can probably expect quite a few of these shorter podcasts with just one of us. But I guess without further ado, thanks for listening, folks. Signing off now. Peace.